Hey everyone, welcome back here to my channel where I play Planet Zoo. My name is Nisse and today I built all of this, which technically is 3 enclosures, but I thought we have a lot of carnivores in here, so we needed some meat for them. So we have the llama, the Springbok, and the Alpine Ibex, so we will have plenty of food here for carnivores for the next generations. And yeah, if you want to see how I built this or simply just know how more about some of these animals, then please keep watching. Okay guys, and let's get started. Of course, here we have 3 animals today and not a lot of time, so I won't be able to tell you about every single small thing about them. But the idea for this area was basically that we have a lot of carnivores in here and we need to keep them fed to keep them happy. And we need some food for that. So I thought which animals look the most delicious. And I came up with the llama, the Springbok, and the Alpine Ibex, which again, 3 animals I never tasted myself. However, I have tasted goat and I do enjoy sheep very much. Or a lamb, more specifically. So I thought these seems like animals that my animals would like to eat too. So that was really where this idea started. We have 2 bovines here and none that are not. And I actually thought they all were. But if you can guess which one isn't, I will tell you in a minute. Can you guess who is not a bovine here? Please write it in the comment section below so we can see who knew more than me and who was knowing as little as me before this. So, yeah. They are, of course, all in the animal kingdom, and they are vertebrates, and they are in the mammalia class, and they are also in the order of the Artiodactyla, which is a group of animals. There's over 500 of them, and they are all even-toed, also called hoofed animals. So that's really where we see the comparisons here. And I, for myself, often mistake every hoofed animal for bovine, which they are not. Bovines are more specifically all of the animals of the family Bovidae, which is the bovine family, but that's only 208 individuals of this larger groups of over 500 animals, therefore less than half of them. Here, including in the Bovidae family, we for instance have the Alpine Ibex. The Alpine Ibex also belong in the subfamily Caprinae, which is a subfamily which have the goats, the ibex, the sheeps, but also bigger animals such as the muskox or the takin, for instance. Zooming more into the Alpine Ibex, we have the genus that in this case in the Capra, and therefore the last name is Capra Ibex. I will just say that Capra includes 22 animals, and that's because all of the goats are split up to 9 different genuses. Here, for instance, the Capra Ibexes that are the Alpine Ibex we just talked about, but we also have other Capra such as the Capra Hircus, which is the domesticated goat, and the Capra Agarus, which is the wild goat. Zooming out again, looking at the bovines, we have another subfamily, in this case called Antilopinae, and I'm pretty sure for these 3 animals you can think which one it is at this point. That is, of course, the Springboks. The Antilopinae is, of course, all of the antelopes, including gazelles, black bucks, springboks, jerbucks, tags, gazelles, and so on. Going closer in, normally we go either from family to subfamily to genus or from family to genus. Here we actually have an extra step under subfamily, which is the tribe. And the tribe in this case is the Antilopini, which is a tribe of 2 antelopes, which is the Springbok and the Gerenuk. Even closer in, of course, we still have the genus, which is the Antidorcas, and therefore the Latin name is the Antidorcas marsupialis. Sorry, you know the Latin word. Every word I need to read is hard for me, so but there it is. So even though both the Springbok and the Alpine Ibex are bovines, we still have a lot of categories under bovine that split them far apart compared to some other families that only have a few individuals. And therefore also for everyone who guessed that a llama is not a bovine, you were correct. Instead of being a part of the bovine order, the llama is in the Camelidae order, which only holds 7 individuals, but I think it's quite straightforward for us who that might be. Again, alpaca, llama, bactrial camel, dromedary camel, vicuna, guanaco, and the wild bactrial camel. So it's a very, very small family compared to the bovines we just looked at. And therefore, because the family is so small, it is not split into any more subfamilies. It's straight from family to genus. And the genus here is Llama. However, it's spelled with only one L. So for people with dyslexia, like me and other people who have trouble spelling, the Latin name for llama is easier to spell. Therefore, if you ever spell it wrong, just say you use the Latin word. It will help you. And the Latin name for the llama is therefore Llama Glama, which I personally think we should start using the Latin name of Llama Glama here. Another thing that tells the llama a little apart from the Springbok and the Alpine Ibex is that it is pretty much all domesticated, whereas the Springbok in generally are not domesticated, and you can actually find domesticated Alpine Ibex, but it is a very small group compared to their big numbers. I will say that domestication is not that you take a wild animal and make it not wild anymore, simply. It is something that happens over generations. For instance, with dogs, they are very, very domesticated because over generation we have bred all of the bad things we don't like out of the dogs and kept the ones as the aspects that we really like. However, other animals we can have in captivity, like the Springbok, but they still have all of their natural features, they still have all of their aspects from nature, and they still have all of their behaviors from nature, and therefore they are still technically wild animals. And to further explain here, the llama did actually exist in the wild at some point. They were native to the Andean mountains of South America, but they are very, very closely related to alpacas that have been inbred in the domesticated version we have today. They are extinct at this point in the wild, but again, clearly thriving in captivity, and therefore you will be able to see them pretty much worldwide in either farming or as a pets, but primarily places where you have a little more space. Even me here in Denmark, I think I can get to a llama within like 15 minutes if I really try. And that says a lot because it's not a country where you normally would think about a llama being just around the corner. I do, however, believe that they don't thrive as good in Denmark as they would other places because they are built for South America, normally around the temperate and arid climate zones, and therefore Denmark are a little too cold for them probably, but again you can get a long way with just giving them a good stable giving them some good food and keeping them nice, warm, and safe in other regards in general. But let's take a look at Africa, and that is, of course, in this case, the Springbok. It is mainly in sub-Saharan Africa here, more specifically in Angola, Botswana, Namibia, and South America. So it's not a big chunk of Africa, but it's still a fair amount. They live in grassland and savanna, which I think is there we mostly picture them, but they also live in the scrublands. And they also stay, like the llama, within the arid climate zones, but also in the tropical that are a little more wet and a little more green. And for the Alpine Ibex, I'm pretty sure the names say the most, but they are pretty much found in all of the Alpine region of Italy and France, southern Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. And if you, like me, need a little more information than that, it is these beautiful mountains with lots of caves, rocky areas, but there's also both woodlands and forest on this mountain chain. It is placed in the temperate zone, but keep in mind the further up you get, the colder it is. Another way to tell these animals' behavior a little more apart is their herd nature. The Springboks specifically have these herds where the females have this big herd, and then they allow a few dominant male that can live within the herd, but the rest of the males will have to live in areas around, mainly on their own, but in the general same area. Whereas the Alpine Ibex goes, they have a little different structure. They only have a single dominant male, not a few, but a single. However, the not dominant males that do not have their own harem will instead make a male herd. However, these male herds, where they protect themselves, move around together, and do everything together, depend on each other, are normally only 6 to 8 individuals, where the big groups of harems can be up to, or herds can be up to 20 individuals. The llamas, on the other hand, will have a more cater to humans' nature here, because we like to be able to stuff 100 animals in one enclosure. The llamas isn't there currently, and I don't want them to get there though. But they can also have group sizes up to 20 individuals. But these groups of 20 normally have around 6 breeding females, their offspring from the same year. And then they will have a single dominant male. However, in the group, they will constantly be surrounded by other males that will be allowed to be around the females. They will be allowed to eat with the group, but they will not technically be a part of the group. The group are the one the dominant male defends and take care of. Here it's more like they are allowed to be around, and they will also try to get a fight to become the next dominant male. So therefore they are not technically included, these males, but they are much more allowed to be closer to the females and closer to each other, and they're not as aggressive as males may become for the Alpine Ibex or the Springbok or any other of these bigger grouped animals can be. And before you think that's kind of weird, I will just mention that for rabbits, for instance, it's very, very not normal for male to accept each other, and they can be extremely aggressive towards each other. However, through domestication, through the years, we have taught them to be able to live together. So in general, if you have young males that have lived together for their entire life, they can learn to accept each other very easy. And I know quite a few people who can have male rabbits together. I still always recommend take 2 females if you want 2 or more, just to be sure, because again, their instinct can be wagging that makes them attack each other, but they can learn to accept and not love each other, but be around each other without being aggressive all the time. All three animals are, of course, herbivore and foliarvores, but again, they live very different places, so their food source will be dependent on what they actually have available. In a zoo, probably you could feed them kind of the same food, depending on how much need they have for it and how much fat they need to gain or lose. But in general, they will be able to roughly eat the same thing. Again, it's for them in nature, it will be very dependent on what is available. For instance, where both the llama and the Alpine Ibex live in the mountains, they will have to feed on these grassy patches there can be in the mountains, foliage that can grow on the rocks, and in general much more scarce grass and plants, so they have to eat pretty much everything they find. Where the Springbok can afford to be a little more picky because again they live in these giant savannas where there's a lot of foliage. However, they cannot eat all of it. For instance, they are not a giraffe, so they cannot eat the high trees. They can neither eat everything that get ruined by the wildebeest, warhawk. A lot of animals basically just ruin the foliage. They can also not eat more concentrated because they need to be aware of predators, and furthermore, they will also have to eat what is left because a lot of animals eat what they eat, the places they live. So when these animals are kind of alike and kind of not alike, will they then have the same issues? Well, the llama wins the cake here because they are basically not allowed on the IUCN Red List because they are not evaluated. This is because they are domesticated. They are technically extinct in the wild, but since their numbers are still over 7 million individuals worldwide, you really can't say that that's an issue at this point. Again, domesticated animals are most likely protected by their owners and therefore will not starve or get sick or anything in the near future, like a species-wide issue. So their biggest threat, as I see it, is the fact that if us as humans got tired of them, but I still love them, so I don't think there's any fear of that in the near future. The Springbok, on the other hand, are hunted still today and also have the lovely issue of being caught and traded alive. This is because they have quite a few features that people are interested in. Here it can be horns, skins, meat, and taxidermy models. In Botswana, Namibia, and South Africa, they also are hunted for their beautiful coats. However, keep in mind that in many countries we eat deer, we eat bovine, we eat a lot of meat in a lot of places. So I really don't think we can yell at anyone for that, and especially because their numbers here is still 2 to 2.5 million. So there's plenty of them out there. And therefore, of course, according to the IUCN Red List, they are a least concerned animal. The Alpine Ibex have a little bit of a different story. They were heavily hunted for quite a while because of course, the gorgeous horn were collector's items and still are some places today. And also, it was believed that specific parts of the body might serve a pharmacy function in medicine, which again, it's hard to take that decision or that's argument up, because like if things work, they work, and if you don't have any other way of getting medicine, then go for it. But in general, I don't think that there's a reason we don't use it in modern medicine. They of course also fight with the very harsh weather, the places they live, especially the wind, because it can be enough to knock a ibex off a cliff and into their death. Furthermore, the babies especially have issues because they are small enough for a lynx of a golden eagle to basically take them. Furthermore, human beings can also steal one of their babies for reasons. And in general, they also have issues with diseases and such. However, today their numbers are higher because we don't have as heavy hunting of them as we had earlier, and their numbers are at this point 53,000 individuals. It's much less than the Springbok we just talked about. However, because they live in this quite secluded area, it seems like they really are thriving, and therefore they are at least concerned animal according to the IUCN Red List. So today we do not actually have a sad story to tell, and I am really enjoying that. Okay, everyone, it's all I have for you today, but I really think it was enough. As always, guys, tomorrow or Sunday, so that's normally my day off on this channel, but I am going live. I'm live right now on my second channel, and I am live again tomorrow on my second channel. Link is in the description if you want to see me over there, and if you want to just see me all from me here, I of course have my Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday mud videos and Wednesday, Saturday speed builds. So I really hope to see you again, either in the next one or in the comment section below. As always, guys, like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification. And yeah, I mumbled that up, but you know the drill, guys. See you. Bye.